Welcome to another video. In today's video, we'll be going over the latest update to Ghost Simulator and all the new content it brought and what to do with that new content. Since the last update was actually a pretty big update, looking at the patch notes, there's quite a bit of new stuff. The main stuff being that there are some new stuff to the Easter invasion, including new pets, new boards, new mythicals, and a little bit of a new system for items to get in the Easter event. And along with that, the biggest update that I think happened is the new racing system, where they revamped how racing works, added a few things, and made it actually a lot more interesting for both new players and to hopefully set up some future changes where it'll become even better. They also added a new NPC, a lot of new stuff, and also moved around Ghost Hunter Yuwu. But other than that, all the other stuff is pretty small bug fixes and stuff that probably is easy enough to understand. So we'll go ahead and get into this update and show you guys all the new stuff that was brought into this update and how best to actually get that stuff. Now, one of the first small things that I didn't even cover in the patch notes, because it was a really small change that really they haven't even brought attention to, is that now up here on this timer for the event in Main Hub, you'll now be able to see what the next event is. Prior, you were just told that the event was in this mount. You weren't told whether it was a boss or whether it was a race, but now there is up there, it will tell you whether it's a race, whether it's a boss, or whether it's the invasion event for Easter. This is a really good quality of life change that I think everyone wanted, and the fact that it wasn't addressed is just a super small and really helpful change for basically everyone. Now, the first changes I do want to go take a look at is the Easter updates. Because we are in the middle of the Easter event in Ghost Simulator. The fact that they added new stuff in the Easter update was kind of expected. The main things that they have added is these two new mythicals, and then additions to shop, along with a new NPC over here, Ghost Hunter Stella, that you can do for a nice little quest rewards. You guys know how quest works in Ghost Simulator. There's a pet and a board in there. Overall, this isn't too big of a change. It's a little bit more expensive stuff than previous, going up from here like 50% more expensive on pretty much all the boards, and then also 50% more expensive on the crate. But shouldn't be too hard for anyone who actually wants to go grind for it, especially since we do have a double Easter eggs event. That's probably over by the time I post this video, but was available for this weekend if you guys managed to go ahead and grind that. In addition, they also added these new 350 mythicals, which are actually quite expensive. This is the interesting thing about this Easter event. It's actually a lot slower to grind keys than in previous events. So yeah, if you are planning on grinding keys for this event, the best strategy to go ahead and do that, at least the way I have seen it, is if you have the double drops game pass, go ahead and grind glitchy boss gum from the back door. I have a video on how you can do that, but you guys probably know how to do that. And then go ahead and use that glitchy boss gum on only the large events inside the invasions. So large event is every third event. Get a group of people, get into a private server, spam event bait, and then every large event at the end of it, go ahead and use a boss gum to go ahead and get 4 times the amount of keys from that one. Since you usually get a base of 2 for large events versus 1 for medium and small, it's basically getting 8 times the profit of the small or large in that time. This still isn't going to be super fast. I think for me personally, with double boss drops and double loot drops and glitchy boss gum during these things, it takes me about 45 minutes to do 2 full cycles of the event, which is one cycle is 1 small, 1 medium, 1 large, which generates around 40 keys. So it's about a key per minute. For me, if you don't have double boss drops, it's going to be quite a bit less. But yeah, that's if you have double loot drops. If you don't have double drops from Ghosts, best way is just to grind any invasion you can get your hands on, because it is going to be a lot slower to grind glitchy boss gum, and so because of that, you're better off just straight up grinding the invasion. And here we have the new races. This race is an Easter themed race, so basically a lot of Easter eggs everywhere and a lot of other stuff. As we go through it, you guys can kind of see what the new stuff they added to the races is, including these coins and changing around how boost panels work. So rather than being boost panels on the ground, they are little circles in the air that are a lot easier to see and pathfind towards when you find them and you don't have easy sight to the ground. The only real problem with this new map is the fact that it's a little bit maze-like and randomly generated, so it isn't super easy to always navigate through, especially sometimes when you're going down this path. This is actually blocked off at the end and you have to go all the way back track all the way back to the opening back here to actually get out of this area, which can be really confusing for new players and really not how pathing should work. But overall, it's a pretty small problem that people will probably get used to, and will probably be fixed in later maps that they add. But yeah, overall races have a huge improvement. As you guys saw, we also have new coins in them. There's actually 4 different colors of coins that can be seen on the top of the shop that is for race coins, which is actually back here in the Wild West, which is a little bit interesting to find. They did move Yuwu next to it, and they have that in the patch notes, so finding it shouldn't be as hard. But since it is next over here in the Wild West, I know people can't find it. But as I said, there are 4 different colors of race coins. Yellow being the easiest one to get, which gives you 1 race coin. Blue being the second easiest to get, which gives you 3 race coins. Red being a little bit rarer and giving you 5, and then purple being the rarest and giving you 10 race coins. The amount of race coins you get is also dependent on boss drops. So if you have double boss drops, you will end up getting double the amount of coins. And if you use something like a boss gum, you will end up getting double, triple, or quadruple even that amount of coins too. Overall, they are pretty hard to actually grind for. As I said, there is purple only gives you up to 10. So if you're free to play, you are going to struggle to get more than 30 race coins per it. And if you go look at the shop, the cheapest crate in there, the only one in there right now is 250. So it will be a little bit of grind if you are trying to get enough race coins for this. I've played a few races, and I only have a little under 100 racing coins with double boss drops. A few as in like 5 or 6, so not an insane amount. But overall, it's pretty hard to get race coins for the racing board crates, which does make this stuff a little bit more expensive, a little bit harder to get. But at the same time, you can also use crate keys, which pretty much make these things trivial to get, since getting 100 crate keys to be able to get everything from this crate is actually pretty easy for pretty much all players. But yeah, the other thing to note about racing coins is that they plan to do more with this in the future. They have a lot more stuff that they weren't able to add into this update. But yeah, overall racings are going to get more revamps, and this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg. And allows a big thing about racing coins that I find to be helpful is that it allows pretty much anyone allows anyone in the race to actually get a reward. Prior to this update, if you placed 4th or 5th in like a 10-person race, you wouldn't get any rewards. So having a little bit of coins for the people who went through it slower and weren't able to actually get a reward is actually kind of a nice change. Obviously, currently racing coins aren't useful, but in the future they might be. And so that's just a small change that makes races a little bit better, I think, for everyone. Now, enough said about the races. Let's get back to the Easter update. Another thing that you guys notice is that if you win an Easter racing event, i.e. place in the top 3 of it, ideally you'd want to do this in a private server so that you're only racing against yourself. But if you're doing it in a public server, sometimes people aren't going to be as great either. So you should be able to pretty easily get top 3. But yeah, still sometimes can be a struggle to get top 3. But yeah, you do go ahead and get yourself an Easter racing loot bag. This has some cool rewards. It has a godly, legendary, and rare in it, looks like. No mythical, so it's not too expensive. But overall, this stuff is going to be kind of rare, just because the rarity of racing events. If you guys don't know, currently the cycle of events in Ghost Simulator goes a boss, an evasion, a race, an invasion. And there are 2 different racing events that alternate. So basically, you're going to have to wait 8 different events to be able to get yourself into a Easter racing event. And then once you're in one, you will have to actually win it to actually get some loot bags. And if you don't have double drops, you'll end up only getting 1 Easter racing loot bag. So because of this, Easter racing loot bags might be quite rare for people who aren't grinding the event. And I'd actually recommend probably saving the loot bag itself, just because it's more of a collectible, and like the chance of you actually getting something useful out of it is pretty low. Since we just went through 2, and we did manage to get a rare, luckily, but the chance of you getting like the godly or anything like that just gets super low super quickly. So it probably isn't even worthwhile for you opening them, at least in my opinion. If you guys also want to know new code, they added the code exceptional for a nice cool board, and somehow I managed to click legitimately everything but the right button. So if you want a cool looking board that looks kind of like a honey stick, you guys can go ahead and enter the code exceptional for that. And yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying this update, and I will see you guys